Okay, hello folks. We're in week 3 now. Uh, Today's lesson is going to be about solving multi-step equations. I am under the assumption that you've been keeping up with the class. You already understand how to solve 1 and 2-step equations. If that is not true, if you haven't watched previous videos, if you haven't done previous homework, you need to go do that. This is going to be very difficult if you haven't already gotten the building blocks from previous classes. Next, every week there are 3 assignments, 3 that you need to worry about. The first is going to be a homework assignment. I send you the PDFs and you send me pictures of your work. The second is Delta Math. You have to sign up for Delta Math. Many of you haven't even created an account. You need to create an account for Delta Math and then complete the assignments. The third one is quizzes. The quizzes will be every week. It's the quiz for the week, the biggest grade, so please make sure you're doing those as well. Okay, great. Our first test will be the week of September 28th. So make sure we're understanding the topics and communicating with our teacher if we need to. Every Friday, we have a video call at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. You need to make sure that you are there for that call. If you have any questions, it's an optional thing, but you need to be there if you have questions. Okay, how to write an email. Many of you are struggling with writing emails. A couple of things. Please put the email right here, your email address, the teacher you're trying to communicate with. Here is just a topic. It should be 1 or 2 or 3 words. Please don't write your whole email in this topic here. This is just a couple of words. Here, you write a greeting. Hello, Mr., hello, Mrs., blah, blah, blah. You tell your teacher what day you're in class, what class you're in, and what period. If you're virtual, you can just say you're virtual and say I'm in Algebra 1 or I'm in Geometry or I'm in Language Arts or whatever you're in. Please be specific for the teacher. Next, when you ask a question, be specific about what question you want an answer about. Many of you are just saying, I'm confused on number 7. Number 7 from what? Okay, so be specific. Your signature can be at the bottom here. You can just write your name, whatever you'd like, and then reread before sending. Make sure there's capital letters, punctuation, etc. Make sure it looks like an adult email. This is an important skill for life. Email communication is important in any sort of business relationship. Cool. Okay. Now for the actual mathematics. Cool, so we need to practice distribution real quick. This is something we've seen before. Remember that distribution is just multiplying, but you multiply both portions or both terms in here. Now, looking at this right here, distributing gives us, multiplying gives us 6a. The a stays the same, the 2 numbers multiply, the 2 integers multiply. 3 times 2 gives us 6, and whatever sign was right here stays right there. Just that easy, okay? This is a way of simplifying an expression because it doesn't have an equal sign. This one is a tricky one. Because we don't really see a number here, it's just a negative. We need to pretend that it's -1, -1, okay? And we're going to multiply that -1. Give -1 times n is just -1n, or simpler is just -n, okay? And then -1 times +10 is -10. And this 4n we haven't done anything with. We're told to simplify fully, so we're going to, once we've distributed, we're going to combine like terms. We have 2 like terms right here, a -n and a +4n. Because this is -1n and 4n, this is going to be 3n. And we put our variable before our constant. Remember, our constant does not have a variable, and that's as simple as it gets right there. Okay. Now, okay. Sometimes that does not work. Cool. This week we're going to start working with calculators. Those of you who are fully virtual, the last couple of weeks you really shouldn't have been depending on a calculator. We were doing a lot of multiplication practice. If you're plugging into a calculator, you weren't getting the practice you need. Now we're going to start working with calculators. Okay, this is the calculator we have in class. When we all come back to class, you'll see that. Okay. Looking at these first couple of problems here, I would like you to take your time and plug in to the calculator all of these just to make sure you know where these buttons are. The little squared on our calculator is going to be right here, as well as the square root. To get to the blue buttons, you click this button first, and then whatever button you're trying to get the blue above. So if you press this button and then this button, you quit. If you press this button and then this button, you get angle. If you press this button and then this button, you get your square root right here. Students at home, I believe last year you practiced this, but please use, let me write this down for you. Please use DESMOS.com. Desmos.com has a calculator. This will be the calculator they give you to use on your EOCT tests. So it's best if we start practicing with that right now. Okay, cool. Oh, last thing. We have two examples down here. You notice that the variable is isolated by itself. Let me write that down. Isolated by itself, isolated. So you can plug this into the calculator. That's no problem. But you look down here and the variable is not isolated. You cannot plug this into a calculator. It's not going to solve it for you. Okay. You need to isolate the variable and then you can solve it. Okay. Cool. Solving equations with distribution. So we just practiced our distribution. Now let's practice solving equations with distribution. Now, in order to solve equations with distribution, we first distribute, and I'm going to keep that equal sign right there. Negative 5 times 3, negative 15. This is very similar to the distribution we were just doing. Negative 5 times negative 2x, negative times negative is a positive. 5 times 2 is 10, and the x remains the same. That's exactly what we just practiced, distributing. Now, we haven't touched this side over here, this side of the equal sign, so we're going to leave that the same. Cool. Now, we have a two-step equation. We practiced that last week. So now we can just solve our two-step equation. I'm going to add 15 and add 15. Notice I'm still showing my work. I'm going to use a calculator to solve this because this week we're practicing with calculators. I'm going to use a calculator to solve this, but I'm still showing my work because I know showing my work is part of the score I'm going to get when we start taking assessments. So I'm going to write negative 65 plus 15, okay? And that gets me negative 50. I move down the equal sign and never lose my equal sign, and then these cancel out, leaving just 10x. Now, I know 10x is 10 times x, so I'm going to divide by 10, giving me x equals, and I'm going to plug it into my calculator because I know this week is calculators, negative 50 divided by 10 gives me negative 5, negative 5. And I know I'm done because the x, or the variable, has been isolated. It's by itself, isolated. Okay, let's try one more example. We are again going to distribute first. Oops, messy arrow there. Negative 3 times negative 6. Negative times a negative is a positive. 3 times 6 is 18. I don't need that positive sign there because it's at the front, so it already shows that it's positive. And negative 3 times negative 3x. Negative times a negative is a positive. 3 times 3 is 9. And our variable stays, equals 63. We haven't touched the other side of the equation, so we just bring it down, Now we can solve for our variable by subtracting 18, giving us 9x equals, and now I can pick up my calculator, 63 minus 18, which is 45. I'm going to write that down. Okay, notice I'm still keeping track. I'm writing everything down. I'm not trying to do the whole thing in the calculator. Now we have 9 times x. Inverse operations tells me to do divide by 9, gives us x equals, and 45 divided by 9, I'm hoping you know that's 5, but we're going to plug it into a calculator. 45 divided by 9, which is, of course, 5. Cool. And our variable has been isolated, so we are good to go there. Okay. that is today's lesson. If you have any questions, always email me. And then remember that our main focus, our 3 assignments are: we need to complete the PDF homework assignment I gave you. You need to do the Delta Math assignment. If you haven't created an account, you need to do that. That is part of homework, which means if you don't do it, you're going to be losing a lot of points. And the last thing, after you've done everything else, you've watched the videos, you've done the activities, then you do your quizzes at the end of the week. Okay, cool. You folks enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for your time.